The emergency lights bathed the council chamber in red as delegates from 47 species gathered in panic. Something had happened that nobody expected. Humans were angry. Captain Day-Wan stood before the massive circular platform, his merchant uniform still covered in dust from the escape pods. His ship had been nearby when it happened. He saw everything. The Valkyrie raiders had attacked the human colony ship times, Songbird times, without warning. 3,000 people were on that ship. Families, children, scientists, heading to a new world. Now, most of them were dead or missing. The chamber fell silent as Day-Wan spoke. His voice was calm, but something in his eyes made even the warrior species uncomfortable. He described the attack in simple terms. The Valkyrie had used overwhelming force. The times, Songbird times, had no military weapons. It barely had shields. The colonists tried to surrender. The Valkyrie ignored them. Counselor Thexvar, a tall avian creature with golden feathers, clicked his beak dismissively. "Captain, we understand your distress. However, the Valkyrie are a known raider species. They operate in unclaimed space. Technically, they have broken no council laws." Day-One stared at him. "They murdered civilians. A tragedy." Thexvar agreed, his tone suggesting it was anything but. Yet humans chose to expand into dangerous territories. "Perhaps this will teach your species caution." Several council members nodded. Humans were newcomers to the galactic stage. They had appeared only 30 years ago with slower-than-light colony ships and basic trade vessels. In council terms, they were infants. Their technology was adequate but unimpressive. Their diplomats were polite but unremarkable. Their defense forces had never fought anyone beyond pirates and smugglers. The council had classified humanity as moderate threat level, useful for trade, no danger to established powers, not worth protecting. Ambassador Hei-Wan rose from the human delegation seats. She was a small woman with gray hair and gentle features. She had served as Earth's primary representative for 5 years. Most council members thought her harmless. They were about to learn otherwise. "Honored Council," she said quietly, "we request that you take no action in this matter." Confusion rippled through the chamber. Thexvar spread his wings slightly. "No action? Your people are dead, Ambassador. Do you not want justice? We want you to stay out of our way," Hei-Wan replied. Her voice remained soft, but something had changed in it. "This is now a human concern. We will handle it ourselves." Laughter echoed from several delegations. The Krovan representative, a massive reptilian creature, rumbled with amusement. "Handle it? With what? Your merchant fleet? Your colony defense militias? The Valkyrie will crush you." Hei-Wan smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. "Then you have nothing to worry about. We simply ask that the Council not interfere. Let humanity deal with this problem in our own way. Menady. Menady." The Council voted quickly. Why not? If humans wanted to throw themselves against the Valkyrie, it would weaken both groups. The established powers would remain secure. It was good politics. The session ended. Delegates filed out, already forgetting about the human problem. They had more important concerns. Captain Day-Wan found Ambassador Hei-Wan in the observation lounge. She stood alone, watching the stars. He approached quietly. "They think we're weak," he said. "Yes," she agreed. "They have no idea what's coming." "No." Hei-Wan turned to face him. Her gentle expression was gone. What remained looked like carved stone. "They've never seen us fight. They've only met our merchants, our diplomats, our farmers and miners. They think that's all we are." Day-One nodded slowly. "My brother is with the 75th Rangers. My sister commands a destroyer. My daughter just graduated from the Naval Academy. Every human they've met out here is like me, veterans who finished our service and chose civilian life. The Council doesn't understand that about us," Haywan said. They don't understand that nearly every human adult has military training. They don't know our history. They've never had to fight themselves the way we fought each other for thousands of years. Should we warn them? Haywan considered this. Would they listen? No. Then let them learn. 3 days later, the Valkyrie struck again. Emboldened by council inaction and human silence, Warlord Kreshtal led his fleet against a human mining outpost in the Kepler sector. He expected easy prey. He found Lieutenant Yunhee instead. Yunhee was a geology specialist. She studied mineral compositions and tectonic patterns. She also happened to be a former infantry officer who had served 2 deployments in Earth's corporate security conflicts. When the Valkyrie ships appeared, she had 17 minutes to organize a defense. The mining outpost had basic weapons. Civilian-grade shields. No military personnel. Just miners, engineers, and scientists. Yunhee turned them into a fighting force. She knew the outpost layout perfectly. Every tunnel, every chamber, every weak point. She positioned people with mining equipment as weapons. She used the facility's industrial systems as traps. When the Valkyrie boarding parties entered, they walked into a nightmare. Miners who knew how to handle explosives. Engineers who understood structural weaknesses. Scientists who could improvise chemical weapons from mining supplies, all led by a geology graduate who had commanded troops in combat. The Valkyrie won eventually. They had superior numbers and military hardware, but it took them 6 hours to capture a facility they expected to take in 20 minutes. They suffered 40% casualties against civilians. Warlord Kreshtal broadcast his victory across all channels. He declared humans weak and cowardly. He promised more attacks. He made humanity sound like easy targets. The message reached Earth. 12 hours later, every human civilian vessel in Council space received the same transmission. All non-military personnel are advised to evacuate the following sectors immediately. Transit corridors will remain open for 72 hours. After that, these areas are designated combat zones. The message included a detailed list of star systems. The Council's intelligence division analyzed it quickly. The sectors covered all known Valkyrie holdings and their raiding routes. Then came the second transmission. This one was broadcast on all frequencies, in every known language. It was only 7 words long. Special Operations Command has been activated. Stand clear. Councillor Thexvar received the translation in his private chambers. He read it 3 times, trying to understand. Special Operations? What did that mean? Humans had a standard military, surely. But Special Operations suggested something else. Something specialized. He accessed the human information files. They were remarkably sparse. Humans had been cooperative with basic cultural exchanges, but tight-lipped about military capabilities. The Council had assumed this meant they had little to hide. Thexvar began to suspect they had assumed incorrectly. He called an emergency intelligence meeting. Within hours, every Council military analyst was trying to find information about human combat capabilities. They found almost nothing. A few rumors, some third-hand accounts. Nothing solid. What they did find made them uneasy. Every human they had ever met, when asked about military service, had a story. Not some. Not many. All of them. As if military training was simply part of growing up human, one analyst discovered something interesting in human cultural databases. Humans had a saying, "Every civilian is just a soldier who finished their deployment." Another found a human historical document about something called total war. The concept horrified them. Every citizen involved in the war effort? Entire populations mobilized? It seemed barbaric. A third analyst found the most disturbing item. It was a human military recruitment video. Apparently public information. It showed training exercises. The analyst watched human soldiers perform complex operations in zero gravity, underwater, in extreme heat, in Arctic conditions, in urban environments, and in a dozen other scenarios. The analyst noted that this was described as basic training. The entry-level requirement. Not elite forces. Not special operations. Basic. The analyst's report concluded with a single question. If this is basic, what are their specialists capable of? Nobody had an answer. In deep space, something emerged from faster-than-light travel. Sleek ships, smaller than standard military vessels but radiating energy signatures that seemed impossible for their size. One ship broadcast a simple identification code. SOCOM Reaper Team. En route to target zone. The Council's sensors registered them. Analysts scrambled to understand what they were seeing. Ambassador Hay-1 sat in her quarters, watching the same sensor data. Her communication console chimed. It was a secure channel from Earth. "Ambassador," said the voice on the other end. "Special Operations Command sends their regards. Estimated time to operational zone. 48 hours. Understood," Hay-1 replied. "Rules of engagement? Full discretion. Geneva Conventions apply. Minimize casualties. Recover hostages. End the threat. And if the Velkari don't surrender?" There was a pause. "Then they'll learn why humans developed the concept of unconditional surrender." Rees. Ah. Hay-1 closed the channel. She looked out at the stars and wondered if the galaxy was ready for what came next. It wasn't. Warlord Kreshtal studied the holographic display with satisfaction. His intelligence officers had compiled extensive data on human combat capabilities. The results pleased him. The humans encountered so far showed decent reflexes but poor equipment. Their tactics were defensive and cautious. Their weapons were adequate for deterring pirates, but nothing more. Most importantly, they seemed to lack any real warrior culture. His chief strategist, a scarred veteran named Grelnak, pointed to specific battle recordings. The mining outpost resistance was surprisingly stubborn. Warlord. But notice their weapons. Industrial tools. Mining charges. Nothing military grade. Kreshtal clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. And their leader? This Lieutenant Yunhee? A scientist, according to our intelligence. Geology specialist. She had no formal combat armor, no military weapons. She used what was available. Grelnak zoomed in on captured footage. She fought well for a civilian, but she was still just a civilian. That was the conclusion in every report. Humans fought like cornered prey, not predators. Brave enough, certainly. Stubborn beyond reason. But fundamentally unprepared for real warfare. The colony ship had been full of families. No weapons. No defenses beyond basic shields. They had surrendered immediately, when resistance proved futile. The merchant vessels carried minimal armaments. Their crews tried to run rather than fight. Even the mining outpost had been staffed entirely by civilians. Engineers, technicians, scientists. They had grabbed whatever tools were handy and fought desperately. It was admirable in a pathetic sort of way. Kreshtal had fought dozens of species. He knew warriors when he saw them. Humans were not warriors. They were soft creatures who had gotten lucky with technology and now played at being galactic citizens. "What about these incoming vessels?" Kreshtal asked. The Council sensors detected something. Grelnak pulled up the data. 6 small ships, unclear classification. They emerged from FTL travel 2 days ago, heading toward our outer territories. 6 ships? Kreshtal laughed. They send 6 ships against our entire fleet? What are they thinking? Unknown, Warlord. The energy signatures are unusual. Higher output than expected for vessels that size. But it's only 6 ships. Maintain alert status, Kreshtal ordered. But prepare for the next raid. If humans want to send their military, let them watch us take another colony. In the detention level, Dr. Sora sat in her cell and tried not to smile. The Velkari had captured her when they took the mining outpost. She was a xenobiologist, technically non-combatant. They kept her alive for interrogation. They wanted to know about human defenses. human fleet positions, human military strength. She told them nothing useful, but they kept trying. Grelnak entered her cell with 2 guards. He carried a data pad, showing footage from the mining outpost battle. "We have analyzed your resistance," he said. "It was impressive for civilians, but futile. You must see that." So Ra looked at the footage. There was Yun-hee, coordinating the defense, with nothing but a mining helmet and a commandeered plasma cutter. There were engineers using excavation charges as improvised grenades. There were scientists who had probably never held a weapon before, fighting with pipes and tools. "You call these warriors?" Grelnak asked. "They're scientists and laborers playing soldier." They had no chance. Sora started laughing. She couldn't help it. Grelnak's expression darkened. "You find your defeat amusing?" "No." Sora managed between laughs. "I'm sorry. It's just, you really don't understand." "Explain." Sora took a breath, composing herself. "You think you fought warriors. You didn't. Yun-hee is a geology specialist. She studies rocks. The people who held you off for 6 hours? Miners, engineers, researchers. We came here to dig holes and analyze soil samples. And yet they fought. Of course they fought. They're human. But they weren't soldiers." Sora leaned forward. "Do you know what Yun-hee did before she became a geologist?" Grelnak waited. "She served 3 years in Earth's infantry, 2 combat deployments. Then her contract ended, and she went to university because she wanted to study rocks instead of shooting people. Half the people on that outpost have military backgrounds. We don't stay soldiers forever. We do our time, then we do something else." "You're saying they were veterans pretending to be civilians?" "No. They were civilians. That's my point. They left the military behind. Yun-hee hasn't fired a rifle in 6 years. She's been too busy studying mineral compositions. The man who organized the chemical weapon traps? He was a combat engineer. Now he analyzes mining efficiency. The woman who held the Eastern Corridor for 2 hours? Former naval officer. Now she's a traffic controller for ore shipments." Grelnak processed this. "Your civilians have military training. Most of us do. Some nations require it. Others make it voluntary. Either way, most human adults have served at least a few years. Then, we move on with our lives. We become merchants, farmers, scientists, teachers, whatever we want to be. That seems inefficient. Why train people if they leave?" Sora smiled again, but this time, it wasn't from amusement. "Because it means our civilians aren't helpless. And it means we have millions of people who know how to fight, but choose not to, until you give them a reason. We defeated them. You defeated geology students and mining engineers with your professional military. Congratulations." Sora's voice hardened. "Now, let me tell you what's coming." Grelnak leaned closer. "Your intelligence is wrong about humans. You've only met the people who left military service, the ones who finished their contracts and wanted peaceful lives. Merchants, colonists, researchers, farmers. You fought civilians who barely remembered their training and had no military equipment. And now? Now you've murdered 3,000 colonists and attacked a mining outpost. Now, Earth is actually sending the military. Not the people who used to be soldiers. The people who still are soldiers. The ones who never wanted to be farmers or scientists. The ones who are really, really good at warfare. Really?" Grelnak made a dismissive gesture. "You still don't get it." Sora shook her head. "Let me guess. Your species evolved as apex predators. You've always been warriors. You can't imagine anything else. We are strong because we embrace our nature. Humans are strong because we had no choice. We had no natural predators, so we became our own predators. For 10,000 years, we fought ourselves, different tribes, different nations. different ideologies. We got very good at killing each other. We developed thousands of ways to wage war. We refined it into an art form. Many species have internal conflicts. Not like us. You know what we call the 20th century? The deadliest 100 years in human history. We killed 100 million of each other. We invented weapons that could destroy our entire planet. We fought wars on every continent, in every environment: ocean, air, land, underground, urban, rural, Arctic, desert. We learned to wage war anywhere, anytime, against anyone. Grelnak shifted uncomfortably. Then, something amazing happened. We stopped. Not because we forgot how to fight. Not because we became weak. We just decided we were tired of killing each other. So we turned outward. We went to space. We met aliens. We became merchants and diplomats. You became soft. We became civilized. There's a difference. We still remember everything. Every tactic, every strategy, every dirty trick we learned fighting ourselves for millennia. We just choose not to use it, unless necessary. You're trying to frighten me with stories. Sora stood up, moving to the cell's transparent barrier. I'm a xenobiologist. My job is studying alien life forms. Before that, I spent 4 years in the Marines. I've killed people. More than I like to remember. Then I got tired of it and went to university. I wanted to study life instead of ending it. She pointed at the footage still playing on Grelnak's datapad. Every person you see in that recording has a similar story. Yunhee led infantry squads through urban warfare. That engineer with the chemical weapons? He used to design military fortifications. The traffic controller? She commanded a destroyer in the asteroid conflicts. We're not soldiers anymore. We chose different lives. But you attacked civilians. You killed families. Now you'll meet the people who didn't choose different lives. The ones who stayed soldiers because they're the best at it. 6 ships, Grelnak repeated. But his voice lacked conviction. 6 ships you can detect, Sora corrected. Special Operations doesn't announce itself. Those 6 ships? They're probably just the ones you're supposed to see. The ones keeping your attention while the real operators move into position. You're speculating. Am I? Sora sat back down. Here's what I know about human special operations. They take volunteers from the regular military. Then they put them through training that has a 90% failure rate. The ones who make it through become the most dangerous individuals in human space. They train for years, in every possible combat scenario. They operate in teams so efficient they seem to read each other's minds. They're not just warriors, they're artists. Grelnak turned to leave. Wait, Sora called. You asked what's different between civilians and warriors. I'll tell you. Civilians fight to survive. Warriors fight to win. Special Operations doesn't fight at all. They simply eliminate problems. Quickly. Quietly. Efficiently. You won't see them coming. You won't hear them. You'll just wake up one day and find your fleet has been dismantled piece by piece. Impossible. You've been studying the wrong data. You analyzed farmers and scientists. You should have been studying Earth's military history. We have a saying, those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. You're about to repeat every mistake that every army in human history made when they underestimated us. Grelnak left without responding. Sora settled back in her cell. Outside, in the cold dark between stars, something moved. Sensors didn't detect it. Scanners couldn't track it. 6 ships continued their obvious approach, energy signatures blazing like beacons. Behind them, hidden in their sensor shadows, smaller craft drifted silently. No active systems, no emissions, just patient operators waiting for the right moment. Commander Taesung checked his team's positions one final time. 12 operators, 4 ships. They had been drifting for 18 hours, using the Velkari's own sensor blind spots against them. Specialist Jinho sent a hand signal. Target acquired. Boarding positions ready. Taesung responded with a simple thumbs up. The galaxy was about to learn what human special operations actually meant. In her cell, Dr. Sora closed her eyes and waited. It wouldn't be long now. Warlord Kreshtal was about to discover that defeating farmers and scientists was the easy part. The Velkari command ship times, destroyer's Pride times, was the largest vessel in Warlord Kreshtal's fleet. It carried 300 warriors, enough weapons to level a small moon, and enough armor to withstand concentrated fire from a dozen enemy vessels. Kreshtal felt perfectly safe aboard it. That feeling lasted until the power went out. Not completely. Life support remained functional. Gravity still worked. But lights flickered, then dimmed to emergency levels. Command displays went dark. Communication systems failed. Weapon controls stopped responding. Kreshtal stormed onto the bridge. "Report!" His sensor officer worked frantically at a console. "Unknown, Warlord. Systems are failing across multiple decks. No external attack detected. No hull breaches. It's like the ship is just shutting down. That's impossible. Run full diagnostics." "Trying, Warlord. Diagnostic systems are also offline." Across the fleet, similar reports flooded in. Ship after ship experienced mysterious system failures. Not catastrophic explosions. Not weapons fire. Just critical infrastructure dying without explanation. The 6 human ships they had been tracking continued their approach, still hours away from engagement range. Sensors showed nothing else in the area. Grelnok arrived on the bridge, his expression worried. "Warlord. We have a situation in detention." "What now?" "The prisoners. They're gone." Kreshtal spun to face him. Cell doors are open. No alarms triggered. No signs of forced entry. The guards are sleeping. Sleeping? In the middle of a crisis? Not sleeping. Unconscious. No injuries. They're just asleep. Grelnok pulled up security footage on a still-functioning portable display. "Look at this." The footage showed Dr. Sora's cell. The timestamp read 18 minutes ago. The scene appeared normal. Guards stood at attention. Sora sat quietly inside. Then, for a single frame, the image flickered. When it stabilized, the guards were on the floor, and Sora's cell stood open. No door motion, no visible intruders. Just one frame of static. "What am I looking at?" Kreshtal demanded. "I don't know." Every security recording shows the same thing. A flicker of interference, then prisoners gone, and guards unconscious. Kreshtal felt something he hadn't experienced in years. Fear. Elsewhere on the ship, Commander Tae-sung led his team through the maintenance corridors. They moved in complete silence. No words. Just hand signals and practiced coordination. Specialist Jin Ho worked quickly at a junction box, uploading specialized malware into the ship's systems. It was elegant code. It didn't destroy anything. It just made critical systems think they needed to shut down for maintenance. The ship would tear itself apart, trying to fix problems that didn't exist. Operative Nari monitored their exit route on a tactical display. She had mapped the entire ship's layout from external scans, identified patrol patterns, and calculated the optimal path for extraction. 12 operators had boarded 30 minutes ago through a microscopic breach in the waste disposal system. Nobody had seen them. Nobody would. Tae-sung checked his team's status. All green. Hostages recovered and waiting at the extraction point. Primary objectives complete. Secondary objectives in progress. He signaled Jin Ho. The specialist nodded and activated the final sequence. Throughout the ship, backup systems began failing. Not catastrophically, just enough to cause chaos. The team moved toward their exit point. They passed sleeping guards, oblivious crew members, and bypassed security systems that didn't even know they were there. This was what human special operations trained for. Infiltration. Sabotage. Extraction. All without a single shot fired. Back on the bridge, Kreshtal received another report. 3 more ships had suffered similar system failures. Engineering teams could find nothing wrong. Systems just refused to work. Then his communication officer managed to restore partial functionality. A message came through on emergency frequencies. It was text only, translated into perfect Valkyrie script. You started this war against civilians. We're ending it as soldiers. Stand down. Kreshtal read it 3 times. Trace this signal. Can't, Warlord. It's coming from inside our own system. Someone uploaded it directly to our communications array. That's impossible. We would have detected borders. The communication officer said nothing. They both knew what this meant. Humans were already inside. Had been inside. Possibly for hours. Moving through the ship, like ghosts. Kreshtal pulled up fleet-wide status. 8 ships now reported critical failures. No casualties. No battles. Just systematic dismantling of infrastructure. It was surgical. Precise. Terrifying. Grelnak received an urgent message on his personal device. He read it, and his expression went pale. Warlord, we need to evacuate the command deck. Why? Our weapons control system is attempting to target this ship's bridge with its own weapons. They evacuated. 30 seconds later, a malfunction in the targeting system caused a minor explosion in the weapons bay. No casualties, but the message was clear. Humans could have killed them all. They chose not to. At the Galactic Council, emergency sessions ran around the clock. Council observers watched the situation unfold with growing horror. The 6 human ships had never fired a shot. They just continued their steady approach. Meanwhile, the Valkyrie fleet tore itself apart from within. Counselor Thexvar watched tactical displays in disbelief. This isn't warfare. This is extermination with a conscience. Ambassador Hay-1 stood nearby, her expression neutral. This is restraint, Counselor. They're following the Geneva Conventions. What are those? Human rules of warfare. Protect civilians. Minimize casualties. No torture. No weapons of mass destruction. Treat prisoners humanely. Proportional response. She paused. These rules were developed because humans realized we were too good at killing each other. You consider this limited? Yes. Special operations could have destroyed every Valkyrie ship in the first hour. Instead, they're systematically disabling military capability while avoiding casualties. Those guards who are sleeping? They're unharmed. They'll wake up with headaches and damaged pride. Nothing more. Thexvar watched another Valkyrie ship go dark. How are they doing this? I don't know the specifics. That information is classified. But I can tell you generally. Human Special Operations trains for every scenario. Space combat. Zero-gravity boarding. Cyber warfare. Infiltration. Sabotage. They practice for years until these operations become routine. Nothing about this seems routine. Hay-1 smiled slightly. To them it is. This is what they do. They've trained against every possible defensive system. They've simulated thousands of scenarios. They've prepared for contingencies we haven't even imagined. When they execute an operation, they're not improvising. They're following plans developed and refined over decades. And the Valkyrie had no chance. The Valkyrie attacked civilians. They made this personal. Special Operations takes that seriously. On another council ship, analysts worked to understand human capabilities. Operative Nari had left them some clues. Deliberately. Nothing classified. Just enough to paint a picture. One analyst found footage from a human training exercise. It showed operators conducting a similar boarding operation against a defended space station. The analyst calculated their success rate, 97% mission completion. 3% failure rate due to equipment malfunction. Not enemy action. Another analyst discovered human military doctrine. It emphasized something called combined arms. Every soldier trained in multiple skills. Every team could operate independently. Every unit had backup plans for their backup plans. A third analyst found something that made her pause. Humans had an entire military philosophy called special operations. It wasn't just elite troops. It was a completely different way of thinking about warfare. While regular military fought battles, special operations eliminated problems before battles began. The Velkari fleet was learning this firsthand. Warlord Kreshtal sat in the Auxiliary Command Center, watching his fleet die. Not through combat, through systematic dismantlement. Every ship disabled, every weapon offline, every system compromised. His warriors reported seeing shadows, hearing whispers, finding equipment sabotaged, but they never found the enemy. Dr. Sora and the other hostages waited calmly in a cargo bay. A human operator stood guard. He was young, couldn't be more than 25. He wore black armor with no insignia. He hadn't spoken once. Sora watched him carefully. He seemed relaxed, but she recognized the signs. Constant awareness, ready to move instantly. Trained reflexes. This was what a human warrior looked like when they chose to stay a warrior. Another operator entered. Female. Same black armor. Same silent professionalism. She signaled something with her hands. The male operator nodded, and both moved toward the hostages. Time to go, the female operator said quietly. It was the first time either had spoken. Her voice was calm, like she was discussing the weather. Where? Sora asked. Extraction point. Our ride's here. What about the guards? The ones you knocked out? They'll be fine. Wake up in an hour or so. Might have headaches. The operator helped an elderly colonist to his feet. Sorry for the wait. Had to make sure the route was clear. Sorry for. See. 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 They moved through the ship. Corridors were empty. Lights were dim. Systems sparked and flickered everywhere. You did all this? Sora asked. The operator shrugged. We had help. Other teams. Working other ships. Coordinated operation. How many of you are there? Enough. They reached an airlock. A small craft waited outside. It was sleek and dark, nearly invisible against space. The hostages boarded quickly. As Sora stepped through the airlock, she turned back. Thank you. The operator nodded. Sorry it took so long. We had to verify all hostages were in one location. Safer to extract you all at once. How long were you on the ship? About 3 hours. Most of that was mapping routes and planting code. 3 hours. 12 operators had infiltrated a heavily defended warship, rescued hostages, sabotaged critical systems, and would escape without a trace. All in 3 hours. The small craft detached silently. Inside, Commander Taesung ran through the mission checklist. All hostages recovered. 0 casualties on either side. Enemy fleet disabled. Mission parameters met. 0 Commander Taesung, enemy fleet. He opened a secure channel. Command. This is Reaper Team. Objectives complete. Returning to base. The response came immediately. Good work, Reaper Team. Next phase is green lit. Admiral Hyun Woo sends his regards. Taesung closed the channel and looked at his team. They were already preparing for whatever came next. This was their normal. This was what they trained for. In the council chambers, Ambassador Hae-won received a quiet notification. She read it and allowed herself a small smile. Counselor Thexvar noticed. Good news, Ambassador. All hostages recovered. Safe and healthy. 0 casualties on both sides. Both sides? You're counting the Velkari? Of course. They're people too. Misguided people who attacked civilians, but still people. We wanted them stopped, not massacred. And now? Hae-won's smile faded. Now the Velkari have a choice. Stand down or face the actual military. Special operations was the scalpel. What comes next is the hammer. These 6 ships? Those 6 ships are just the escort. The real fleet is about to arrive. The Council's long-range sensors detected them first. 40 ships, emerging from faster-than-light, travel in perfect formation. Not the small, specialized vessels of the special operations teams. These were proper warships, destroyers, cruisers. One massive carrier that dwarfed everything around it. Admiral Hyun-woo commanded the fleet from the carrier times Indomitable Asterisk. He was a career officer, 53 years old, with gray hair and calm eyes. He had spent 30 years in Earth's Navy. He had commanded everything from patrol boats to battle groups. He knew his job. His communication officer turned to him. "Admiral, we're receiving surrender requests from 7 Valkyrie vessels. They're asking for terms. Tell them to power down all weapons and await instructions. Send medical teams to any ship that needs them. Prepare boarding parties for inspection." "Yes, sir." At the Galactic Council, panic was setting in. Councillor Thexvar called an emergency military session. Analysts scrambled to understand what they were seeing. 40 ships, Thexvar said. "They brought 40 ships. 40 ships we can detect," corrected a military analyst. "After what we saw from special operations, I wouldn't assume that's all they have." Another analyst pulled up detailed scans. "These ships are different from anything in our database. The energy signatures are higher than expected. The hull configurations suggest advanced shielding. And look at this. Each destroyer carries enough firepower to threaten a small fleet. What about the carrier? We're not sure what it carries. Could be fighters. Could be more specialized craft. Could be anything." The analyst highlighted several areas on the display. "But notice the support vessels. Medical ships. Supply craft. Communication arrays. This isn't a raiding force. It's a full military expedition." Thexvar felt his chest tighten. "How long would it take them to reach Council space? 3 days at their current speed. Less if they push their engines. And could we stop them?" Silence. Nobody wanted to answer that question. Finally, the chief military coordinator spoke. "We don't know. We've never seen human military at full capacity. Based on what special operations accomplished, I would not want to test our defenses against them. They wouldn't dare attack the Council, wouldn't they? We refused to help when their civilians were murdered. Now we need to consider the possibility that humans are much more dangerous than we realized." Ambassador Hae-won was summoned to address the Council. She entered the chamber with her usual calm demeanor. 47 species watched her, nervously. Councillor Thexvar spoke first. "Ambassador, your fleet has entered Council-monitored space with what appears to be hostile intent." "Incorrect, Councillor. Our fleet has entered unclaimed space where the Valkyrie are currently operating. The same space where they murdered our civilians. We have no hostile intent toward the Council or any law-abiding species. 40 warships suggest otherwise. 40 warships suggest we take the safety of our people seriously. Would you prefer we sent fewer? Should we have continued letting merchants and farmers defend themselves?" Another councillor, a crystalline being, spoke up. Hae-won nodded. "Very well. What would you like to know? Start with special operations." "What exactly did we witness?" "You witnessed a hostage rescue and tactical strike operation. 12 operators from SOCOM, our Special Operations Command. Their mission was to recover hostages and disable enemy capability while minimizing casualties. They succeeded. 12 operators disabled an entire fleet. 12 operators that you know about. There were other teams working other objectives. I can't give you exact numbers. That's classified. But yes, a small number of highly trained specialists conducted the operation. How is that possible?" Hae-won considered her answer. "How much do you know about human military history?" "Very little." "Then let me educate you. Humans have been fighting wars for 10,000 years. We've developed every form of combat imaginable. Large-scale battles, small unit tactics, guerrilla warfare, cyber attacks. psychological operations, economic warfare. We've tried everything, because we spent millennia fighting each other. She pulled up a holographic display showing Earth's history. In the 20th century alone, we fought 2 global wars. Millions died. Entire continents became battlefields. We invented weapons that could destroy cities in seconds. We developed strategies for fighting anywhere, against anyone, with anything. The Council watched images of human conflicts: trenches, tanks, aircraft carriers, mushroom clouds. Then something changed, HFY continued. We realized we were too good at killing each other. We were on the verge of making ourselves extinct. So we made rules, treaties, conventions. We decided to limit ourselves because we recognized how dangerous we had become. And yet you still maintain a military. Of course, we learned another lesson. Peace requires strength. We maintain our military not because we want to fight, but because we remember what happens when we can't defend ourselves. She changed the display to show training operations. Every human soldier receives extensive training. Basic training is 6 months. Combat specialization is another 6 to 12 months. Officers train for years. Special operations takes the best of the best and trains them for years more. That seems excessive. That seems necessary. We train our people to operate independently. Every soldier knows basic medicine, mechanics, communications, and tactics. If command structure fails, they keep fighting. If supplies run out, they improvise. If plans fall apart, they adapt. A counselor from a peaceful herbivore species asked nervously, "What percentage of humans are military? Active duty? Less than 1%. But remember what I told you before. Most human adults have military training. Some serve 2 years. Some serve 20. Then they return to civilian life. But they remember their training. So the civilians we met were veterans. Yes, the merchant captains, the colony leaders, the mining supervisors. Many of them have military backgrounds. It's normal for us." Texvar leaned forward. "Ambassador, please be honest. What would happen if humans decided to expand by force?" HFY met his gaze steadily. "We wouldn't. That's not who we are. We explored space to find new homes, not to conquer. We joined the galactic community to trade and learn, not to dominate. But if you wanted to, then the galaxy would have a problem. But we don't want to, and we won't, unless someone gives us no choice." The implication hung in the air. Aboard the Times, Indomitable Asterisk, Admiral Hyun-woo prepared for the next phase. The Velkari fleet was crippled, but not destroyed. Warlord Kreshtal had not yet surrendered. Some warriors never did. His tactical officer reported enemy movements. "Admiral, 6 Velkari ships are attempting to regroup. They're trying to restore weapon systems. Disable them. Minimal force." "Yes, sir." The human destroyers moved with practiced precision. They didn't open fire with main weapons. Instead, they used point defense systems to target specific areas on the Velkari ships: engine sections, weapon arrays, command centers. Each shot was calculated to disable, not destroy. Pilot Ji-woo, callsign Ghost, led a squadron of fighters from the carrier. They flew patrol patterns around the disabled ships, watching for any hostile moves. Her fighter was equipped with experimental stealth technology. On sensors, she looked like background noise. "Ghost to command," she reported. "All targets contained. No hostile actions detected. Copy, Ghost. Maintain patrol." Ji-woo loved flying. She had wanted to be a pilot since childhood. The military gave her that chance. She had flown everything from cargo shuttles to advanced fighters. This new stealth fighter was her favorite. Fast, maneuverable, and nearly invisible. Below her, the Velkari ships drifted helplessly. She felt no satisfaction in their defeat. They had started this by attacking civilians. Now they were learning the cost. Warlord Kreshtal sat in the auxiliary command center and finally accepted reality. His fleet was beaten, not destroyed, not annihilated, just methodically, systematically defeated. The humans had taken apart his forces like a mechanic disassembling an engine. Worse, they had done it with minimal casualties on both sides. His warriors were alive, humiliated, but alive. The humans could have killed everyone. Instead, they had been almost gentle. It was the most terrifying thing he had ever experienced. Grelnak entered quietly. Warlord, we should surrender. Surrender to humans? They've beaten us, completely. Our fleet is disabled. Our systems are compromised. Our warriors are demoralized. If we continue, they'll destroy us. They haven't fired on any civilian areas. They've avoided casualties. That suggests weakness. No, Warlord, that suggests strength. They're so confident in their victory that they can afford to be merciful. They're showing us they could kill us all, but choose not to. That's not weakness. That's power. Kreshtal looked at the tactical display. 40 human ships surrounded his fleet. More were probably hidden, waiting. Special operations teams could be anywhere, doing anything. He had underestimated humans catastrophically. He had thought them soft because they chose peace. He had mistaken merchants for weaklings and scientists for cowards. He had attacked their civilians and expected fear. Instead, he had awakened something ancient and terrible. A species that had mastered warfare so completely they had to create rules to limit themselves. A people who trained every citizen in combat but chose to live peacefully. Warriors who had become merchants by choice, not necessity. Open a channel, Kreshtal ordered. I will speak with their admiral. The communication established quickly. Admiral Hyunwoo appeared on the display. He looked tired, but alert. Warlord Kreshtal, Hyunwoo said politely. I'm Admiral Hyunwoo, commanding the Human Expeditionary Fleet. I want to understand what I'm facing, Kreshtal said bluntly. Your special operations dismantled my fleet. Now you arrive with 40 ships. Is this your full military strength? Hyunwoo smiled slightly. It wasn't a kind smile. No, Warlord. This is a task force. One of several. Our full military is much larger. How much larger? That's classified. But I can tell you this. The people you attacked initially were civilians. Former military. Yes. But they had left service. They fought you with mining equipment and improvised weapons. The special operations teams that followed represent our most elite specialists. They train for years, specifically for missions like this. And you? I command the regular military. The conventional forces. We're not as specialized as SOCOM, but we're much larger. We train for ship-to-ship combat, planetary operations, logistics, and sustained campaigns. We're what humans deploy when special operations isn't enough. And beyond you? Hyunwoo's expression hardened. Beyond us are forces we hope never to deploy. Strategic response. Planetary defense. Deep space operations. The things we built during our worst wars and pray we never need again. Kreshtal absorbed this. You're saying I attacked the weakest humans. You attacked civilians, yes. People who chose peaceful lives. Then you met specialists who chose to remain warriors. Now you're facing the regular military. And Warlord, we're still showing restraint. We could have destroyed your fleet in the first hour. Instead, we disabled it. We could have caused massive casualties. Instead, we've been careful. Why? Because we remember what it's like to be on the receiving end of overwhelming force. Because we've learned that victory without mercy breeds resentment and future conflict. Because we're trying to be better than our history. Hyunwoo leaned forward. You started this war against civilians. We're ending it as soldiers. Surrender now, and we'll treat you fairly. Continue fighting and we'll do what's necessary. Kreshtal looked at his shattered fleet, at his demoralized warriors, at the 40 human ships that could destroy everything he had built. What are your terms? He asked quietly. The surrender was unconditional. The council chamber had never been so full. Every species sent their highest-ranking officials. This was no longer a routine session. This was a moment that would reshape galactic politics. Ambassador Haywan stood at the central podium. Behind her, a holographic display waited, ready to show information that would change everything. She had argued against this presentation. Earth's military leadership wanted to keep capabilities classified. But the Council had demanded transparency. And Earth had decided that strategic honesty might prevent future conflicts. Councillor Thexvar opened the session. Ambassador Haywan, the Council has requested a full briefing on human military capabilities. We need to understand what we witnessed with the Valkyrie incident. We need to recalculate our threat assessments. And frankly, we need to know if the Council itself is in danger. The Council is not in danger from humanity, Haywan replied firmly. We seek peace. But I understand your concerns. What happened with the Valkyrie has raised questions. I'm authorized to answer some of them. She activated the display. It showed a simple organizational chart. Let's start with what you encountered. The Valkyrie first attacked civilian vessels, colony ships, merchant traders, mining outposts. These were staffed by ordinary humans, people who had finished their military service and chosen civilian careers. Some had been out of the military for years. Some had never been particularly good soldiers. They were farmers, merchants, scientists, and engineers who happened to remember their training. Captain Day One stepped forward. I commanded a merchant vessel. Before that, I flew fighters for 6 years. I'm not unusual. Most human civilians have similar backgrounds. We serve our time, then we move on with our lives. How long is this service? Asked a counselor. Depends on the nation and the role. Minimum is usually 2 years. Many serve 4 to 6. Career military serve 20 or more. But almost everyone serves at least a few years. The council absorbed this, a society where military training was nearly universal. Haywan continued. When the Valkyrie attacked our civilians, we responded with special operations. Commander Taesung, would you explain what that means? Commander Taesung approached the podium. He wore his dress uniform, black with minimal decoration. Special Operations Command, recruits from the regular military. We take volunteers, then put them through selection. 90% fail. The ones who succeed train for years in specialized skills. Infiltration, sabotage, hostage rescue, direct action. We're designed for missions that require precision and expertise. How many operators do you have? Thexvar asked. That's classified. But I can tell you we represent less than 1% of Earth's military. We're specialists. We don't fight wars. We solve specific problems. You disabled an entire fleet with a small team. That's what we train for. Years of practice, thousands of simulated operations. We prepare for every scenario until the execution becomes routine. A counselor from a peaceful species raised a tentacle nervously. Commander, you speak of this as routine. You disabled warships, infiltrated secure facilities, rescued hostages, and caused no casualties. This seems impossible. Taesung shrugged. It's what we do. We train in zero gravity. In hostile environments, in enemy territory. We practice until we can operate blindfolded. By the time we execute a mission, we've already done it 100 times in simulation. And you consider this normal? For special operations? Yes. It's our job. The council murmured in concern. This level of capability seemed beyond normal military forces. Haywan spoke again. Commander Taesung and his teams represent our most elite units. But they're not our military. That would be Admiral Hyunwoo. Admiral Hyunwoo stepped forward. He looked less intimidating than Taesung, more like a professional administrator. That made him somehow more frightening. "I command the human expeditionary fleet," Hyunwoo said. "We're the conventional military, not specialists like SOCOM, just regular naval forces." "You call 40 warships regular?" Texvar asked. "That was a task force, one of several. Our full navy is significantly larger." "How large?" "Classified. But I can tell you, we maintain forces sufficient to defend Earth and our colonies. We have destroyers, cruisers, carriers, support vessels, and planetary defense platforms. We train constantly. We run exercises in every possible scenario. We're prepared for sustained operations, if necessary." "Could you fight the entire council?" Hyunwoo paused. "I hope we never find out. But if we had to defend ourselves against overwhelming force, we would make it very costly. Humans don't surrender easily." He activated a new display showing training footage. Council members watched human soldiers practicing complex maneuvers. "This is basic training," Hyunwoo explained. "Every soldier learns to operate in multiple environments: planetary surfaces, space stations, asteroid fields, deep space. We train them in weapons, tactics, medicine, engineering, and communications. If their unit is destroyed, they keep fighting. If they're cut off, they survive. If plans fail, they adapt." The footage showed soldiers fighting in zero gravity, underwater, in vacuum, and in extreme temperatures. "You train every soldier to this level?" a counselor asked in disbelief. "This is the minimum standard. Specialized units train much harder. But yes, every human soldier can operate in hostile environments, improvise solutions, and fight independently if necessary." Dr. Sora approached next. She had been recovered from the Velkari and agreed to provide context. "I'm a xenobiologist," she introduced herself. "I study alien life forms. Before that, I was a Marine for 4 years. I'm here to explain why humans are the way we are." She changed the display to show Earth's history: ancient battles, medieval warfare, modern conflicts. Humans evolved without natural predators. We became the dominant species on Earth very early. But we didn't stop fighting. We fought each other. For 10,000 years, we waged war constantly, tribe against tribe, nation against nation, ideology against ideology. Images of human conflicts filled the display. The council watched in horrified fascination. "We developed every form of warfare imaginable. We built weapons that could destroy entire cities. We created strategies for fighting anywhere, anytime, against anyone. We got so good at warfare that we nearly destroyed ourselves." She showed images of atomic explosions, cities in ruins, millions dead. "In the 20th century alone, we killed over 100 million of our own people in wars. We invented chemical weapons, biological weapons, nuclear weapons. We turned warfare into a science." "That's barbaric," someone whispered. "Yes," Sora agreed. "It was, and we realized it. So we stopped. We created rules. The Geneva Conventions, treaties limiting weapons, agreements to protect civilians. We decided we needed to control ourselves because we were too dangerous without limits." She changed the display to show modern Earth: cities, farms, peaceful settlements. We didn't become weak. We became civilized. There's a difference. We still remember everything we learned. Every tactic. Every strategy. Every way to wage war. We just choose not to use it unless necessary. "And when it becomes necessary?" Texvar asked. "Then we use exactly as much force as needed and no more." The Velkari attacked our civilians. We could have destroyed their entire civilization. Instead, we disabled their fleet and accepted their surrender. We could have caused massive casualties. Instead, we were careful. That's not weakness. That's control. Captain Day One spoke up. The Council needs to understand something important. Humans don't want to fight. Most of us finish our military service and never want to touch a weapon again. I became a merchant because I was tired of war. Dr. Sora became a scientist. Lieutenant Yunhee became a geologist. We chose peaceful lives. But you still remember your training, a counselor noted. Of course. You don't forget that kind of experience. But we don't want to use it. We'd rather trade, explore, and learn. Fighting is a last resort. Heiwan stepped forward again. The council asked if humanity is a threat. The honest answer is yes, we could be. We have the capability. But we choose not to be. We're a peaceful species with a warrior past. We remember how to fight because we spent so long fighting each other. But we left that behind when we went to space. Then why maintain such a powerful military? Because we learned that peace requires strength. We tried disarmament before. It didn't work. Aggressive nations took advantage. So we learned to be strong enough to defend ourselves while restraining ourselves from aggression. It's a balance. She activated a final display. It showed Earth's military structure in simplified form. You've seen 3 layers of our defense: civilians with basic training, special operations with advanced training, regular military with standard training. Each layer serves a purpose. Civilians can defend themselves if necessary. Special operations handles precision missions. Regular military handles conventional threats. Are there more layers? Thexvar asked carefully. Heiwan hesitated. Yes. Strategic forces we hope never to deploy. Planetary defense systems. Deep space operations. Response capabilities for worst-case scenarios. Things we built during our darkest times and pray we never need. Such as? That remains classified. But I'll say this. Everything you've seen so far represents measured response. Proportional force. If humanity faced an existential threat, you would see capabilities we prefer to keep hidden. The chamber fell silent. Finally, a counselor asked the question everyone was thinking. Ambassador, should the council fear humanity? Heiwan considered carefully. Fear? No. But respect us. Understand that humans are peaceful by choice, not necessity. Recognize that attacking our civilians will bring consequences. Know that we're willing to defend ourselves and our interests. And if we wanted to limit your expansion, then talk to us. Negotiate. We're reasonable. We understand the galaxy doesn't revolve around humanity. We want to be good neighbors. But don't mistake our desire for peace as weakness. Don't underestimate us the way the Velkari did. Thexvar stood slowly. The council will deliberate. This information requires careful consideration. Of course, counselor. Take your time. Earth isn't going anywhere. After the session, Commander Tae-sung and Pilot Ji-woo met in the observation lounge of the council station. They watched stars drift past the viewport. Do you think we scared them? Ji-woo asked. Tae-sung sipped his coffee. We showed them enough. Not everything. Not even close. But enough to make them think twice about causing trouble. We didn't mention the cyber warfare divisions, or the autonomous weapon systems, or the experimental technology. No. We didn't mention about half our capabilities. Let them imagine. Fear of the unknown is sometimes more effective than showing everything. Ji-woo smiled. Did you see their faces when Dr. Sora showed the history? I think the nuclear weapons footage really got to them. That was the point. They needed to understand, we've been to the brink before. We know how bad it can get. That's why we're careful now. Do you think this will prevent future conflicts? Some of them. Smart species will learn from the Velkari's mistake. Stupid ones will try anyway. But maybe we bought some time for diplomacy to work. They sat in comfortable silence, watching Earth rise into view. A blue marble in the darkness. Beautiful and peaceful from this distance. You know what's funny? Ji-woo said. We're actually one of the more peaceful species out here. We haven't conquered anyone. We haven't started any wars. We just defended ourselves. Yeah, but we're really good at defending ourselves. That's what happens when you spend 10,000 years fighting. You either get good at it, or go extinct. We got good at it. Then we got smart enough to stop. Earth filled the viewport now. From here, you couldn't see the military bases, the training facilities, the weapons platforms, the ships being built. You just saw a world where billions of humans lived peaceful lives. Most of them were former soldiers who had put down their weapons and chosen different paths. Farmers, teachers, artists, scientists, merchants, people who knew how to fight but preferred not to. That was humanity's real strength. Not the weapons or training or tactics. The choice, the ability to be warriors, and the wisdom to be something else. Come on, Taesung said, finishing his coffee. We should head back. There's always another mission to avoid fighting if possible. Exactly. They left the lounge. Behind them, Earth continued its ancient rotation. A world that had conquered itself and now protected others. A species that had mastered warfare and chosen peace. The galaxy was learning what that meant. Not a species that couldn't fight. A species that could fight better than almost anyone, but chose not to, unless absolutely necessary. That was more frightening than any weapon. In the council chambers, Councillor Thexvar reviewed the data from the briefing. The numbers were staggering. The capabilities were terrifying. The restraint was confusing. Humans could have destroyed the Velkari completely. They had the power. Instead, they had shown mercy. Humans could threaten the council itself. They had the capability. Instead, they sought membership and cooperation. Humans were clearly the most dangerous species in the galaxy, but they seemed to genuinely want peace. Thexvar made his decision. Tomorrow he would propose humanity receive a full council seat. Not as equals, because they weren't equal. They were superior in ways that mattered for survival, but perhaps that was exactly why they needed a voice. A species that powerful, that capable, that self-aware, needed to be part of the decision-making process. Besides, it was better to have humans as allies than enemies. The galaxy was changing. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. But maybe, just maybe, that was a good thing.